What's up guys, welcome back to Roddy's Rides. If you haven't already, please go down and subscribe. We just passed 700 subscribers, so thank you. Next goal, 800. In today's video, first of all, how I want to start off this video is there was one comment particularly on last video which really did stand out to me, and I would like to read it back to y'all. But I want to say thank you again for 3,000. It was 3,000 views within 24 hours of uploading. That's crazy to me. That's nuts. So keep it up. Let's keep going. HU 3.7 commented. I'm going to try to read through this, but I'm not going to do everything. I'll throw it up on screen here. He said there's the motor did not blow because the lack of the catch can. And what I'm going to say to this is yes, a catch can is not going to save a motor. But the reason why we were pointing fingers more at it is because when I was doing those pulls, and if you looked at the PCV, it was just drenched in oil. Like it was sucking up oil. And when I started off, my oil was fine. Like level wise, it was fine. But afterwards, it was like all the way down to like a quarter left. So it was sucking in the oil and then burning it right off the rear. So yes, that probably wasn't the main issue, but that was one thing that did not help my scenario, if that makes sense. The next thing he says is the gap in these motors are a lot smaller from factory because they're more of a high revving naturally aspirated motor, which is 100% true. And all this, the main differences between the EcoBoost, the 3.5 and the 3.7 is basically just rings, and it's just built a little bit stronger because it is a motor that was built for boost from factory, which makes sense. He also goes on and talks about he says this kit is not worth the hassle. I'm going to keep up with this kit. I think it's very unique, and I just want to be different from like everybody else on YouTube. So I'm going to keep running with this. Don't you worry. The other thing is he also brought up reducing the air temp. So the other thing is so I do have an intercooler setup that is made for plenty, or it should be cold enough for the power I'm throwing at it, if that makes sense. So I have a VMP. I want to say it's a dual core intercooler up front with dual 12-inch fans for a Gt500. And then I also have an intercooler that goes on the Supercharger. But if you've been watching the channel, you saw that I screwed up that intercooler a while back. So that's still in the process of getting fixed, and that will be back, and that should also help my issue. Another thing is I also am not running a fuel pump. So this is where a lot of people are going to yell at me because yeah, maybe the car was doing great and the motor was obviously getting hot and the supercharger was getting hot, but maybe I just didn't have enough fuel pressure too getting up there, and not enough fuel, boom, you know what I mean? That could have caused another detonation. There was I also have stock headers. I don't have BBK long tubes or shorties or just any header in general. And that could be restricting heat flow too, and that could be keeping all the heat inside the head, which caused my motor to go. So there's lots of different things that could have went wrong with the motor. We won't know till maybe this weekend. We'll see. But getting on with that, in today's video, I want to be talking about what big mods or things that I've changed to the M122 kit for the 3.7 Mustang. So first of all, I want to start off with this kit. There's a pulley that you add that goes right above the alternator that is like a tensioner pulley, right? It just adds tension to the belt and just keeps it tight when it comes around. And so when we first put it on, of course you want your belt or your pulleys to all be in line, because if they're not in line, you could throw a belt, you could rub a belt wrong, you could snap a belt. There's many different things that could go wrong there. So what we first started off doing is in the older videos, we shaved down the spacers till we were trying to bring it back in. And I don't think we got it to a perfect 90 degrees. I think we measured it and it was like 88 or 89, somewhere in that ballpark. So we got it definitely close. I'll throw it up on screen so you guys can see what I'm talking about. Next thing that I also did to improve this kit was I actually ended up deleting a plate. So this is for the water to air intercooler setup. So Tom had us run the normal plate, so the lower intake plate, and then to the supercharger plate if you're running NA. But for mine, it was the lower intake plate, then the intercooler, then the intercooler plate to the supercharger plate to the supercharger, which is a big old sandwich that is just unnecessary to have all those layers. So I ended up deleting, I want to say it was the intercooler and supercharger plate. So then it just went intercooler to supercharger plate to supercharger. So we lost one plate, so we maybe lost 3/4 of an inch or something like that. So that definitely helped for the clearance of the hood. But I mean, I guess that also gives less surface area for heat to escape or have more room to travel. You get what I'm saying. So next thing we also went on to is, so I was being optimistic when I first bought this kit when I was running an 8-pound pulley, or I'm still running an 8-pound pulley, but I was not thinking that I was gonna have all these leaks and all this. Yes, this is not a 110% perfect kit. This is, I don't want to say a garage kit, but this is more of a homemade kit compared to a Procharger or a like Whipple, you know what I'm saying? So we ended up using the gaskets on our plates, but what we did was we siliconed the gaskets to the plates so they don't move on us, and it makes it really nice so when I take it apart a bazillion times, I can just put it on and I don't have to worry about gasket. Oh, I forgot this. Nope, it's already there, you know what I mean? So once I bolt everything down and tighten it down, it should just squish on the seals and it should be mint. Next thing that is on my list is I used hexi coils for the aluminum plate. So I'm going to give this example. So when I was first fighting issues, Auto Mafia was saying that I had a boost leak or a vacuum leak, and I was trying to chase that down, right? And I was cranking down the supercharger bolts, but they are threading into aluminum. And if you don't know, aluminum is not the strongest metal. It's great for dissipating heat, and it's very light too, so it's good for applications like that, and it could be very strong. But when you have really thin threads, you can strip it so easily. And so a mixture of me buying plates from another gentleman, Ghost, and rerunning his old stuff to running my stuff, there was a lot of wear and tear on those threads, so I ended up drilling those out using a little hexi-coil kit that I bought off Amazon. You twist in the spring and it sits inside the aluminum, so when you put in a bolt, it's steel thread, so it makes it a lot stronger, and I feel a lot more confident in threading those in, if that makes sense. Next thing is so the belt that is supplied with the kit. So this could change, because when I got my belt, the belt that came with the kit did not, it fit, but it wasn't the best of fit, I would say. So I was thinking, I don't know if that got mixed up with an air-to-air kit or if that was an air-to-water belt, because I was running an NA, correct? So I ended up buying a belt. I'll throw it up on screen here. It's like, I forgot, it's like the last 3 digits is the actual length or something like that. Forgive me, but here's the belt. Last but not least, I definitely recommend getting a pulley puller, and that is because if you go back and watch our older videos, me and my dad did a auto part cheap puller, and so yes, it worked, but off camera I was kind of shitting bricks, because when we were trying to pull, it was damaging the tip of the not snorkel, I don't know what you would call it, the snout of the supercharger, the barrel, and we were worried that it was yanking out the threads and stripping it. And so luckily we were able to slowly retap the first 2 threads and put the bolt all the way through and everything. Oh, I shouldn't have done that, sorry. But redid the thread, so everything worked out fine. So we didn't ruin the supercharger, thank God. But I highly recommend, if you have someone that has a supercharger pulley puller, go ahead and use it. I don't recommend what we did. That was kind of sketchy. Or make your own pulley puller. So that's really going to conclude today's video. This is kind of a short and sweet one. This next month is going to be a little bit more difficult for me, because obviously if you're still in school, you know what I'm saying. We're coming up on May. This is where all of our finals are. So it's kind of like that in-between pressure where the professors are throwing out busy work to keep us busy, but they're also trying to make sure that we have enough information for the final, you know what I mean? And then the final week, oh God, don't you get me started on that. But I have been looking at motors, and we are getting closer to picking one up. One more thing. If you have any shorty headers or long tube headers that fit the 3.7, and if you're random and you're trying to get rid of them, hit me up. My Instagram, Schmanden, right here. Of course, I would like to buy brand new parts and run them, but I am a college kid on a college budget, so I don't have those funds, and right now I got to get my car running and back up on the road. So with that being said, if you guys have any used parts for a 3.7 Mustang or S197 Mustang in general, please hit me up if they're for sale. So I think that's going to conclude today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please go down and subscribe, help us get to that 800 mark, and hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Riders Rides, out of here. it.